Hello, welcome, and sorry. Happy Friday, everybody. Or as the chat is giving us a little bit of shit about, hello, welcome, and sorry we're late. sorry, and sorry. All three of us have ADHD, and we were talking about how sore our backs are and how important core strength is right before the episode here. So anyways, happy Friday, everybody. It's great to see you all this afternoon. I'm Jor. These are my two good buddies, Forrest and Rajat. And we got a good show in store today. This one's titled "The Bitcoin Tourists Have Packed Up and Left" on the Maple stream. Anyways, what's do you guys have something similar?
I like the title. I use the same one.
Nice. So it is a pleasure to be with you all today. It is very snowy here, and it is almost Christmas time. So I don't know what our plan is next week, but for now, we'll get right into it. So, fellas, I wanted to start with this post here. Actually, just give me 1 second here. I should have had this loaded up. We had too many things going on before the show. What do you guys got planned for Christmas?
That up, oh, sorry. I was going to say, sorry, while George's pulling that up, subscribe to our Maple Bitcoin YouTube channel because we're not going to do these on all of our channels for a very long time.
That's a great call.
Yeah, coming the new year, right? We're going to just be posting our live stream, or we're going to be doing the live stream on the Maple Bitcoin channel. So definitely check that out. We'll all post it in our respective comment section. And otherwise you can just search up Maple Bitcoin on YouTube. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out.
Sorry for interrupting you there, Jor.
No, that's okay. I was looking to be interrupted, actually.
Oh, perfect.
So Maple Bitcoin's YouTube channel right there. Pretty easy to find. You can either search Maple Bitcoin, you can click the link there, or here, depending on where you're watching. So kind of the idea with this is we just want to bring everybody together. We want to have everybody in the same chat. This isn't something where we can get to every single chat, obviously. We have a couple 100 people here every show and a lot of chats. So we just kind of want to have everybody together. I think it makes sense. Instead of 4 different parties going on, we wanted to keep it together. So you can click the link there, or you can just search Maple Bitcoin on YouTube. So I wanted to bring this one up here, boys. I wanted to start the show with this one. And we titled it "The Bitcoin Tourists Have Packed Up and Left." And it was kind of inspired by this post here from Bitcoin Well, actually. Big shout out to Bitcoin Well. Forrest, do you have our referral link for Bitcoin Well anywhere?
Yeah, I can get it.
We hardly ever talk about this, but we do. For people in Canada and the US, we have a code you can use to sign up for Bitcoin Well. That's not why we're bringing this up. We're bringing this up because this is a really solid post, kind of targeting Bloomberg, targeting the mainstream narrative around Bitcoin right now. And so this is the post. I'll just read it here real quickly, and then I'd like to have the three of us discuss. So it says, Bloomberg's calling it Bitcoin fatigue, the 4th annual loss. First one without a scandal, no exchange collapse, no founder arrested, no rug pull, just a whole lot of boredom. The tourists are leaving. Good. You see, the tourists never understand the boring parts are the feature, not the bug. Every technology follows the same arc: hype, crash, silence, then dominance. But between crash and dominance, that's a long, quiet stretch where nothing seems to happen. That's the dip, and that's where most people give up. Not because they failed, but because they got tired of waiting. I watched this happen in 2014. I'm guessing this was Adam, who's their CEO of Bitcoin Well. I know he's been in Bitcoin for a while. I watched this happen in 2014 and 2018 and 2022. The headlines screamed death. The builders kept building. The difference between a tourist and a settler isn't their conviction, it's a tolerance for boredom. Tourists need dopamine hits, daily gains, green candles, and excitement. Settlers understand that positioning happens in the quiet. I like that one. The same information is available to everyone. The Fed's moves, the ETF flows, the macro headwinds, but information without patience is just noise. Risk isn't volatility. Risk is a function of information and control. If you know why you're here, a down year isn't a crisis. It's actually a filter. Bitcoin didn't change. The 21 million hard cap didn't change. The code didn't change. What changed is who's left and who's here. The question isn't whether Bitcoin will recover. The question is whether you'll still be here when it does. So pretty underrated post there from Bitcoin. Well, I don't know if they shared this on X or just on Nostr, but I thought that was a very good way to put it, to describe exactly where we are right now. What do you guys think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, this has been a thesis of mine for a really long time about Bitcoin, is that it's really hard to hold Bitcoin because it's usually boring. And actually, Joy, if you bring up this chart that I just have here, this is from March of 2024 to October of 2024. That's a lot of time of moving sideways. It basically went down 10% that entire time. And this entire time, people were thinking, okay, did we peak? And then, oh no, we're moving up. Oh, this is the breakout. We're going to 100K, right? No, okay, never mind, right? This whole time, people are being thrown about that have no conviction. And meanwhile, it's just grinding downward. And that really, besides the sort of hype and failure to break out and all that, there's also just this general of months and months of your position just kind of grinding down in dollar terms. It's pretty brutal. And that's what Bitcoin does until it moves. It has these moves like crazy. Like these are weekly candles. So that's 1, 2, 3 weeks. And we're at 100K. So you would have held from March until October, wondering what the hell's going on, maybe saying Bitcoin's not going to do anything. It's just going to continue going sideways. It's going to continue going down. I'm going to hop on a faster horse. I'm going to buy this, that, whatever. And then you're missing out on 3 weeks. It's not even a month goes by and Bitcoin almost doubles, right? The low there is 50,000. The high here is 105,000. That's literally double. And if you got shaken out, if you got bored and you couldn't handle the boredom of Bitcoin, you did not see that gain.
Yeah, and keep in mind that we're not telling you that that's what's going to happen next. We have no idea. The point here is to be able to hold through that volatility. Most people can't get through the volatility. I think they want to have a stable ride up. And I think that's actually one thing that completely different topic, but that's one thing that the digital credit market is taking advantage of, because there are people who want that stability, and the digital credit market it's extracting value from those people. It's taking that value out of their hands, and then it's moving it into Bitcoin, and it's holding the Bitcoin. So it's dealing with the volatility. So any company that's creating digital credit, they're dealing with the volatility, and the retail investor is getting their 5, 6, 7, 10% return, and they're okay with this. So I think anybody watching this channel should be different. I think you should think differently, because you don't want the 10%. Why would you want 10% when you can get 40%? Go through the pain. You understand Bitcoin. Put in the time. That book that's behind Forrest's head there. Read that book, The Bitcoin Standard. It's going to change. It's going to make you question everything. So many people. I made a video earlier today saying that gold has failed for thousands of years. And I got so many comments on there, people saying, oh, no, it hasn't. You don't know what you're talking about. Silver exists for a reason. But that's their ego. That's them trying to protect their belief of what the world should look like. They believe that money should be physical, but people don't even want to carry around cash. So if they don't even want to carry around cash, who's going to carry around coins? When I get coins, when I get like pennies, I try to get rid of them. Like
What do you do? Like at people?
Oh yeah, that's part. I climb up to the top of a building and I drop them to the ground. And no, I don't do that. But I try to get rid of them. Right? People don't want coins. They don't want physical money. They want digital. They want everything to be as easy as possible, like a tap. Mm-hmm. And that's what Bitcoin is doing. But you can't do that with silver. You can't do that with gold. And then all those people who are tourists, they bought Bitcoin because they thought it's going to go up forever. They were expecting to get some quick gains, and it didn't happen. And now they're selling. Your goal, like as somebody in this audience, your goal isn't to get that 10% return. Stability is for losers. I'm just telling you that right now. Stability is for losers, because if you want stability, you're working a job, right? And working a job is not. It's fine. You need to have some volatility in your life, because if you don't have volatility, you don't grow.
Yeah. And Yeah, the other thing here too, right, is actually I think Lynn Alden said this where she said nobody is owed a bull market. A lot of
Yeah.
people get into Bitcoin thinking this is my ticket. I'm going to ride this up. I'm going to become rich. I'm doing it all for the money. I'm doing it for the gains, and you're not owed that. Bitcoin's going to do whatever it's going to do. There's a lot of players in this game that have different incentives, and you're just along for the ride. And ultimately, it's a scarce, desirable asset, and it's infinitely, or it's infinitely more scarce than any other asset in the world, because true scarcity has never existed before Bitcoin and doesn't exist beyond Bitcoin, in my opinion. So the difference between 2% inflation and 0% inflation is infinite. It is infinitely different, right? And that's what you get with gold, right? 1 to 3% increase to the stockpile of gold. So the next best thing is infinitely worse, in my opinion, in that
Good
way.
point.
Yeah.
Good way to put it. I think gold's a great comparison for sure. I think that's what most people think of Bitcoin as, is kind of like a digital gold. I've been spending some time recently kind of looking into the energy side of things, into the cybersecurity side of things, even into time. You said that Bitcoin doesn't care about what people think, or Bitcoin doesn't owe anybody anything. So much so that Bitcoin actually has its own clock. It said, we don't even care what time it is over there in human land. We're creating our own clock, which is called the block height. So it's just two different systems. And I think that people are slowly starting to figure that out, that the fiat system and the Bitcoin network cannot coincide over the long term. We were kind of chatting before the stream here, in between talking about how old we were and all the problems we have. But we were talking about land as well. And so we titled the show again, Bitcoin Tourists Have Packed Up and Left. That's kind of the people who were in Bitcoin thinking that fall of 2025, we're going to see a huge increase. And then it didn't happen. And so they either were forced sellers or they swapped into something else that they thought might be the next moonshot. But we also talked about like the settlers, the Bitcoin settlers. That's what we consider ourselves here. And we were chatting about it. Forrest, do you want to maybe talk about the Manhattan thing, because I really like that analogy there that you said.
Sure. Yeah. So it's kind of this idea, right? At one point, New York was called New Amsterdam, and it was the whole south end of it was what was New Amsterdam, and there was canals and swamps, and it was not what we see today as Manhattan. And there would have been people likely that went there and said, this place, I don't really see that much of a future for it. They didn't understand the bedrock. They didn't understand the significance of the ports, what America was going to be. And they said, you know what, if we just move west a little bit, maybe we'll go to Philadelphia, maybe we'll go, Pennsylvania or something like that, right? Not Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where there's more arable land. We'll create a farm. That's going to be what we do instead. And they're moving on from the prime real estate of Manhattan to something else because they might just not have seen the value in it. And it's really, you have Jor, the visionaries community, you have visionaries behind you on your monitor. That's what you have to be. You have to be a visionary. You have to envision a future and see the probabilistic opportunities of what you do and what that creates into the future. So those people would have taken a bet, right? When you are in Bitcoin and you don't see any more gain from it and you move on to something else, you're making a choice and you're betting that this other thing you're going to do is better. And I think you're selling prime Manhattan real estate and moving to the country. It's just not the move for assets.
Oh, you're muted, Rajat.
Sorry. What you said is also important for the network effect, right? There's the compounding factor where, let's say people were in New York and they were building, and you go to another place where there's that arable land. But those people who are building, they've built a network between themselves and they've started to create value. That's exactly what's happening with Bitcoin. People get bored. The tourists get bored and they start looking at random altcoins and they forget about that network effect, that foundation. Like you said, the did you say granite foundation?
Bedrock, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. The foundation, the bedrock, the thing it's built on. They forget about that. They forget about the foundation because of boredom. Some people get bored, some people get scared, and the price going down doesn't really make any sense to them, I think.
Yeah, that's it, right? And when you have limited understanding of what you're holding, of the network, the I talk about this a lot in my videos, which is like the importance of the protocol dominance of Bitcoin, and how everything else is, any new entrant is trying to enter into a space where the protocol dominance is already established, as Bitcoin as the neutral alternative monetary network. And if you're trying to compete in that space, it's just not going to work. Bitcoin is too dominant. You can try to compete in other spaces where sort of technological advances or rapid technological changes can have some sort of effect, right? That's why Solana is competing against ETH. That's why ETH has tried to create its own narrative and is really not competing. They stopped the narrative of ultrasound money. Right now, they're the Wall Street's tokenization platform, but it turns out that Coinbase is actually going to use their own blockchain base, and they're going to use Solana because it's faster. And then some other tokenized platform is going to use something else, right? Because it's even faster and more centralized, right? So it's just, they're competing on these technology side of things that is not a protocol like money. It's an entirely different competitive landscape.
Yeah, and I kind of envision, like, back in the day, what'd you call it before, New Amsterdam? Is that what it was?
New Amsterdam, yeah.
I kind of imagine, like, all this land available for, like, literally pennies on the dollar, right? Before it was developed into anything. And so somebody might have been sold, like they might have heard from their cousin or their brother or their friend, hey, come to New Amsterdam. There's a lot of potential here. And so they do it. They pack up, they make the investment, they start, contributing to it. They kind of start seeing some action there. But then again, it takes years or a decade or 2 decades or 3 decades. And they're like, whoa, this isn't what I was promised here. What is this? Like, nothing's happening here. And so then they go somewhere else, and then they look back 100 years. And believe it or not, there's probably people in this chat, I might even be one of them, who's in the spot you are because your family made a decision like that 200 years ago. You know what I mean? And it would have been like my great whatever. They made a decision to sell something before they should have, without having the vision to see what was coming. And because of that, my whole bloodline changed. I went to a wedding in Europe last summer, and the guy is a billionaire, and he has land in Manhattan. He has a bunch of real estate in Manhattan. And I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, I might never experience something like this again, but some point in the future, my bloodline will. Because whoever did that for them 200 years ago or whenever it was, they're just seeing the benefits of that today, right? Like, imagine all the hardships, the ups and downs, the scares, the fear, the FUD, everything happened between then and now. So it's like, that's just kind of the vision, whether it's a decade, 2 decades out. Too many people are thinking a week out, or what's going to happen like Q1 of 2026. It's like, you clearly are missing the plot of this thing, right? You don't understand the foundation of Bitcoin if you're seeing it that way.
Yeah, once you grasp the concept that this is the only asset that can be used as a store of value, medium of exchange, and unit of account, it changes everything. Nothing else can be used like that, because we have a global economy now. People will tell you that you should buy gold, you should sell your Bitcoin to buy gold, you should sell your Bitcoin to buy real estate, because so gold, they say it can be used in industrial purposes. Real estate, they say that you can live in it. You can't live in a Bitcoin. Stocks, you buy companies. I think the way that things are today, they won't continue on a Bitcoin standard. Because at some point, so right now, I think most people don't quite understand Bitcoin, right? I think that's pretty easy to say. 99.9% of people, I would say, at some point, and keep in mind, what shows you that is that they're willing to accept fiat.
Yep.
For their time, their energy, and they're okay with it. And there are people who have, like, when I used to work at the bank, I'd see people with multiple 6 figures in their bank account. That's their retirement fund.
Just in their bank.
Just in their bank.
It's insane.
And it's their retirement fund, and maybe they'd put in like a GIC or something to get 1-2%. But other than that, I mean, they're not going to invest, because The stock market is a scam. The real estate market is a scam. All these other markets are a scam. So what Bitcoin does is I think it's that point where everybody can just agree to one asset. Before you couldn't, because everything else has its own utility. Bitcoin doesn't have physical utility. What it does is it gives us a form of money that can't be corrupted, can't be controlled, it can't be stopped by anybody in the world, and anybody in the world can use it. So that's it's like email, for example. Anybody in the world can use email. Nobody can really stop it anymore. Even the internet, I'm pretty sure it's very difficult to stop the internet at this point. And once you grasp that, once you understand that Bitcoin is that money that can be used as a store of value, medium of exchange, unit of account, you see that, okay, this thing is right now it's down 30%. You're happy to see that decrease in price because you know that you can accumulate more.
Yeah.
Why is that something like we're so excited? We're so excited to get some deals on Black Friday, but when Bitcoin's price goes down, we're disappointed. No, this is your future. Your retirement is discounted by like 35% right now. If it goes to a 70% discount, then why are you disappointed? I would be happy.
Yeah. I mean, largely Bitcoin we have an asymmetrical information gap with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So everybody sees Bitcoin as like, regardless of crypto or whatever, like Main Street and Wall Street sees Bitcoin as the most volatile asset that they're willing to expose themselves to. They see that as the most risky asset that they own, if they own any, or expose themselves to it. And in fact, it's actually the most stable asset in the world, I would argue. It has fixed issuance. We all see that issuance. We all know the issuance. We already know exactly how many have been released and how many there will ever be. And therefore, that alone makes it more stable than anything else in the world that we can see. So if you understand that, if you have that understanding, then the short-term price volatility and what people will see as instability, you see as basically misunderstanding. That's what I see that as, a mispricing. And when you see something mispriced, like, again, you go to the store, you see your favorite food and it's 50% off, that's seen as a mispricing or a pricing opportunity for you to be able to purchase something at a discount. That's what I see Bitcoin as today as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Dollar's got a good point here. Said stability is for losers.
Right. And I think that goes back to what Rajat was saying, is yield stability priced in fiat is definitely for losers. 100%. The losers at the table right now are the ones that are seeking the safest assets, aka bonds, and they're getting a fixed percentage, and that percentage is not even enough to cover the debasement of the currency because it's based in that currency. And another interesting fact here too, right, is there's a lot of Bitcoiners that I get the question all the time. People ask, "Oh, how do you get yield on Bitcoin? Can I lend it out? Do I use these DeFi protocols?" Like, there's people looking for yield. And if we look at the previous cycle, those people put their Bitcoin in BlockFi, they put it in Celsius, they put it in FTX, or they bought USDT and then got 10% yield from that. And all of these things were rehypothecated, lent out, and created a very unstable environment that collapsed on itself. Today,
but they were looking for stability.
Yes, they were looking for stability. Exactly. Yeah. They were looking for stability through that. So today, instead of those products being popular, we now have MSTR's products that are geared and built for yield and stability in a fiat sense. But the difference is anytime you buy one of those, you are facilitating MSTR's ability to buy Bitcoin and take it off the market indefinitely. And you're buying equity, not debt. They could suspend that at any point. There's no, it's all within the terms. There are terms that punish them for suspending all of it, but there isn't any necessary mandate for them to ever pay this indefinitely, because it's equity, right? It's all voluntary for them to pay out dividends in that sense. And that's what people are going towards now. And then it's literally funding Bitcoin buys. It's not being lent out again or DeFi or investing in crypto, any of that. It's a way more transparent what's happening now when people are looking for stability in the Bitcoin ecosystem.
I think one part that I wanted to, a couple things here. Number one is, if anybody tells you that you can't live in a Bitcoin, just run away as fast as you can. Because I mean, that's just a dead giveaway that they have absolutely no clue what they're talking about, right? Anything that they say following that sentence is moot, in my opinion. So that's one part. But the other thing too is that I really like the unit of account, because again, everybody's been kind of arguing between, is Bitcoin a medium of exchange? Is Bitcoin a store of value? As we've talked about on this channel and on these streams, is that it's actually the best form of both. But it's actually going to become the unit of account. And if you're willing to see out in the future, I don't know how long it takes, but like, think about what makes a good unit of account. We talked about it. Known supply today. We know how much supply there's going to be in not tomorrow or the next year or 10 years, but 100 years from now. We can reliably predict what the supply is going to be because of the difficulty adjustment built into the Bitcoin network. And so if you think about how things are valued today, it's like, okay, well, that car over there costs $40,000 US. Okay. Based on the current monetary supply, because that's what you have to do. You have to consider how many units are actually out there before you can fairly value something. So number one, we have no idea how many units are out there in terms of US dollars. No idea. We have an idea that they tell us it's way off, clearly. But even so, let's say that Trump and administration decide that they want to start printing a lot of money. That truck, $40,000 today, they print $1 trillion next month. The value doesn't change. Why? That makes no sense. It should change because there's more units in the market. The value or the price of that should go up because there's more dollars being thrown around right now. So with Bitcoin, it will become a unit of account because it's the most reliable. We know exactly how much there is today and in 100 years from now. And so everything's going to be priced in sats. And so even the fact that people are still like basing everything on what the fiat price of Bitcoin is, it's literally, it could not be less relevant, grand scheme of things. Today, relevant. Grand scheme, 0% relevant. Everything's going to be repriced in Bitcoin because it is going to become the unit of account because of those reasons.
And people probably think that we're a little crazy for saying this too. Everything you just said there, it's insane. It doesn't make any sense. But you, like you said, Forrest, you have to be a visionary. You have to be able to see the future.
Yeah.
To be able to see where Jor is coming from.
And I would just say, like, you can dumb this down ADIQ way into the ADIQ realm and just think of what is the cost of production of any asset. And you're better off holding something that costs something to create than something that does not cost anything, right? Because everything, in my opinion, all assets fall to the cost of production. And dollars are near zero cost of production, right? They're created digitally. A small percentage of them have a cost in the physical world of creating bills and coins, but the vast majority is created digitally at near zero cost. Bitcoin, if it was free, if you could get it for free, please send me some, because it costs a hell of a lot of money, a hell of a lot of electricity, which we can denominate in whatever. But there's a cost of production to create that. Same with gold, same with silver, same with cars. But there's a reason. There's multiple reasons why you wouldn't want to buy a car as your store of value. And one of them is the fact that cars get cheaper to build every single year because technology gets better, right? We get better at scaling, manufacturing, and technically they get cheaper. They might not in fiat because fiat is being debased at a relative rate, or because they're adding in more and more technology that costs more money. So you're getting more for your money at that point. But you basically will be better off holding something. Now, there's the other aspect of that is desirability too, right? It's not just about buying the most expensive cost of creation of something, but it's also about something that other people want in the future as well. And that comes down to thinking about Bitcoin as property. As I started with New Amsterdam and New York, right? This property, the property that Trump Tower in New York is built on, was worth something just as raw land. but it got something built on top of it, which is worth even more. And that's what I see Bitcoin as well, right? Bitcoin is this simple base layer protocol of money, and that is enough. But we can also see the entire system of money being built on top of that, which makes it more and more valuable, right? The network effect, everything builds onto the sats that you have, the limited sats that you have. And over time, that property, that Bitcoin, becomes more valuable.
And when you think about the unit of account side of things, like you can start doing some really easy calculations yourself. Like anybody with an Excel spreadsheet or a calculator, and with the help of AI, you can say how many acres of land exist on the planet. That's I believe it's the numerator, and then you divide that by the number of sats, 2.1 quadrillion. That's if only land existed, that's how much 1 acre of land would cost in sats. Do the same thing with homes. How many homes exist on the planet? That's your top number. Your bottom number is 2.1 quadrillion sats. You can start doing these if you subscribe to the theory that Bitcoin one day, because of its properties, because of everything we just talked about, will become a unit of account. You can do these. And then you just start looking at everything so much differently. You don't care what the fiat price is. Because if you look at what the fiat price is today versus what Bitcoin as a unit of account looks like, they are like universes apart. And that universe apart, that's the opportunity that we have here. That's where we're coming from, I think, with this whole conversation.
Yeah.
Let's take do you got anything else to add there, Forrest, on top of that?
No, I was just going to, oh, you go ahead, Rajat.
I was going to say, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Forrest. I have a picture that I wanted to share afterwards.
There we go.
Were you going to show the data?
No, I was going to shout out our school.
Okay. Oh, I like it. I like it. It was a different picture though, but that's a good meme. Oh, actually, let me share the picture. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is very relevant to what you guys were saying there. The land.
Mm-hmm.
I just found this. I heard this from someone. 1 Bitcoin is equal to 1,752 acres of land. That's wild. So they did your calculation there. What you just mentioned?
Yeah. I was going to say that it's more than that because a lot of those Bitcoin are lost.
Yeah, you're right. Or a lot of it is just stored away, right? It's just never going to be sold again. Like MicroStrategy is buying, what, 10,000 a week?
Yeah.
670,000 Bitcoin are already gone. Like that's a black hole.
Yeah. And that, strategy as an example is building a skyscraper on top of the land of their Bitcoin. The yield products that we talked about that they offer, those are things built on top of the Bitcoin, not in a technical way. It's using a different network. It's using the preferred equity network, right? But it is still built. The fact that they can issue those and there's any demand for them and any realistic sense of them being able to pay that off is because they have Bitcoin backing it. So it's going to look, the skyscrapers are going to be funky, right? It's going to be art projects on top of this land, right? That is Bitcoin. It is not going to be straightforward. And there might be some sort of straightforward way of building on it. But, we're in a very experimental stage, I would say, at this point with that, with what will be built on top of the property of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I had something to say there. Okay, so I guess what we're going to do here, boys, is that was the last thing I was going to say there, because when on the topic of like land, I think that farmers are a very good comparison to how a Bitcoiner should be, in the sense of like, do you know any I don't know how many people actually know farmers here, but I know farmers, and I don't think that they're on their computers every day or their cell phone every 5 minutes checking the price of their land. They are looking for deals. If a section of land comes up for sale beside them, they're buying that. They're not looking at the prices every day. They know what they're holding. They're looking to get more of it. They're owning the land. They're looking to expand their land and their ownership for the generations, not for the next month or next year or their kids. It's like, that's how farmers think. Farmers think in generational assets. And I think that that's a really good comparison, a really good way to think about things here, and compared to Bitcoin. Wait, what do we got here? Okay. So let's kind of cut her off here for a sec. We're gonna maybe do a little bit of Q&A. I see some really good questions in the chat here. I started a few of them that I think are some pretty good topics here. But we did want to mention quickly here something about our. Do you have that QR code, Rajat?
Oh, let me pull it up.
We've had quite a few people joining the community here in the last couple of weeks, and we wanted to just kind of highlight it here while we're hot. So this is something, I mean, this is our Maple Bitcoin School community here. We do a happy hour after every show, which we're going to be hopping to in about an hour from now or less than an hour. Last week, we had a really good conversation about one of the community members who set up their multi-sig for the first time, which was very impressive to listen to and talk through. And that's the kind of things that we want to see. Like that is a success to us. When you can have somebody go through the community, get support from different members and specialties, I guess, or expertise within the community, and actually do something like that. Like this guy built his own multi-sig, and not just like he set it up one day in Sparrow. He tested it once, twice, this way, that way, has a location over here. He talked through the whole thing. Like this information is truly invaluable for anybody who's taken this stuff seriously. And that's just one very small part of what this community is. We want to grow this thing. We want Bitcoiners from all across the planet in here, because as it grows, I think of it as like a mastermind. And the other part too is like, we're talking about visionaries here. We're talking about looking into the future. I think people really underestimate how much wealth are in these communities, are in the chat right now. Just because the world hasn't told you that you're a multimillionaire yet, that doesn't mean that you're not. So these are the kind of people that you want to be hanging out with and networking with and building different economies with into the future. So again, it's for the content, it's for the network. That's kind of what this whole thing is here.
And last week we had what, like 30 people in the chat?
I think it was more than that. Mason was even there.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Mason. What a good guy, man.
Yeah.
Solid.
Really and then on top of all of that, so we're doing these live sessions every week. We're doing the happy hour. It makes it more private. People can actually talk about themselves. They can talk about things that they feel comfortable saying in a private section, in like a private setting. And then on top of that, we have these Maple Bitcoin, the Maple Bitcoin master classes, where we just talk about all these different kinds of topics. We went into a deep dive with cash and Bitcoin. I think this was extremely valuable. We also have tons of other content. Like Forrest has made a course on the cold card queue. I think he made one on the selling. What is it? Selling covered calls.
Yep, on MSTR. Yeah. The full actual showing how to do it. As an example. Yeah,
I think that's part of where is that? Is that part of the master classes?
It's part of the master classes. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yes.
That's an episode within there.
Okay, here it is. So there's a full master class on this. I feel like these are extremely valuable. It's all included in the community.
So there it is. You got some. You got the QR code there. You got some links in the chat there. I should probably share that too here, boys. And yeah,
let me share mine as well.
Yeah, I'm incredibly bullish on school. It's going to be kind of my focus here for the next year or two. I just think that it's so unique to anything that's out there, between the content and between the community there. Nothing else is like it. YouTube is great for discovery and finding new things. But once you find people that you like and that you're interested in listening to and that you can learn from, not only do you get direct access to them, but you can watch all their content that's not available anywhere else. And you don't have to worry about ads. You don't have to worry about spam and bots and this and that. It's just like, it just seems like a better version of the internet to me. So I'm extremely bullish on school. I think it's the perfect platform for this kind of stuff. And again, we've kind of raised the price from, I think it was $11 when we started. Now it's $30. And as we add more and more to it, as more and more people join, it becomes more valuable. And so we're just going to keep raising the price. And the cool thing is that once you lock in at a certain price point, you're there forever until you cancel, essentially. So even if we raised it to $60 or $100 per month, you're still going to be paying whatever price that you joined at. So we just wanted to mention that kind of halfway through the stream here. And hopefully we have some people joining us for the second part of the show today.
I was actually... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Forrest. Go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing I would say too is at the beginning of this live stream we talked about the boredom of these environments with Bitcoin and its price. and how you can get shaken out just based on the boredom and the not having confidence and stuff. And that's what joining a community in general, a Bitcoin related community, is going to help you with, because you'll be able to voice those concerns, you'll be able to chat, see other people talk about what what they're looking forward to, whatever, and what they're building too. I think there's a lot of people within this community actually building their as we explained, that multi-sig, right? That is somebody building their personal security of their Bitcoin. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on within this community.
Yeah. Very powerful.
I was going to mention, I plan to actually put up a masterclass for how to monetize on social media, how to build a social media audience. And maybe we can all create one together as well. I feel like that'd be super valuable. But I already have one. I can post that just as another bonus to join the community.
Love that. Yeah, that's one thing I've been talking a lot about. So I think that'd be very helpful. I've kind of been talking a lot about like having multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
That you can convert into sats. I think that's how real wealth is gained. And so kind of what we want to do with this community is kind of set the foundation in terms of like help provide all the resources that anybody would need for the conviction, for their own personal security around their Bitcoin. But then once that's kind of built, that's when you start building the skyscraper on top of that. And that's things like this, like Rajat was talking about there, for creating your own other streams of income that anybody can do. I posted a video yesterday saying anybody can get to 1 Bitcoin. And there's people in the comments like, oh, I can't even find a job as it is. How am I going to find a side hustle? I'm like, man, with that attitude, you're not going to go anywhere. So it's much more than just like the having money, the security. You want to build something very special here that's going to last for generations to come. And that we have such a unique opportunity that we're in right now in this window. And us 3 guys here are going to be here to support you through that. That's what we want with this community.
Yeah. And I feel like that attitude of, oh, I can't do it. I think employers can like feel that in you. And that's maybe that's why you're not getting hired, and you're just desperate for a job because you don't have money, and you're just making it very obvious to people, but you don't think it's very obvious. And I think that's partly what Bitcoin does too, right? It boosts your confidence. It gives you that ability to say, I don't want to work, so I'm not going to. And you wait for the best opportunity. And this is partly what Jor is saying there, right? It gives you that opportunity to start a side hustle that could turn into like the biggest business in the world at some point. But most people won't take the risk there. Most people will just be more concerned with, like I said, stability is for losers. People are okay with going to a job, getting a paycheck, and then there's that quote, a salary is a drug given to you to forget your dreams. I think that's what it is. And it's so accurate. It's so accurate. But that's what we want to get you through. Just changing your mindset. The mindset is the most important thing.
Yeah, just like you're not owed a bull market, you're also not owed a job either. Like I've employed people, it's very expensive. It's a time-consuming process. It's a huge risk as an employer to employ somebody, and you're going to calculate that risk and try to employ somebody that you think is the best fit for that job. So if there's any doubt in that, if you're not presenting yourself in a way where you feel where you're competent, then you're not going to get that job.
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, that's kind of the focus here for the school. So hopefully we get a couple of people join. We've had a lot of people join the last couple of weeks. I don't know what it is. They're just fired up for the new year, whatever it is. But anyways, we definitely want to grow it. The more it grows, the more valuable it becomes. You're going to be interacting and networking with future multimillionaires or even billionaires in there, which I don't think anybody should sleep on. And we want to have people in every country on the planet, because I think that's another invaluable thing, is just like knowing people in different parts of the world. I just think that's a big part of this whole thing. It's not just buying Bitcoin and watching the number go up. It's the mindset, it's the network, it's the energy that give, the value that you provide to the world. It's all these things. And that's kind of what we focus on in this community here. So consider joining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually found a couple of comments on that video. I'm just looking through it. I feel like this is so interesting. I was just looking at that video in the background. I found that comment that you were talking about. I think this is the one. I'm not going to get to a whole one, unless the price goes to about $500 and stays there for a while. That's crazy. That's wild. See, like people they don't believe they can do it.
And it's also like a goal is a goal. It doesn't have to be actualized. You have a goal so that you work towards it, and actually working towards it is enough. As the second comment says, even if you invest $500 in Bitcoin today, you're already ahead of 7.8 billion people. And
that's the attitude you want.
That's crazy.
Exactly. And that's all. Yeah.
That's 500,000 sats.
Yeah. And I think the use of the term Bitcoin and how we denominate everything in Bitcoin, and it's like this decimal point, I think that's really difficult for new people to wrap their head around. Like the what is it, the bias, the sort of number bias or whatever that people have. Like, yeah, Bitcoin can be denominated in Satoshis, and there's 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. And you should, I mean, if 1 Bitcoin is too crazy of a reach for you, start your goal at reachable steps. Maybe a million Satoshis should be your first goal. That's around $1,000, right? That's doable for the vast majority of people, I would say, especially in, developed nations. And then from there, okay, well, I hit that. Now what's my next goal? 10 million, 100 million. You get there if you try, right?
And once you start change your mindset, you're ahead of everybody. Like you're ahead of 99% of people. That's it.
Yeah.
And stretch yourself a little bit. Stretch your limitations that you've kind of self-imposed on yourself. Stretch your goal. Like, why not? Yeah. Stretch what you do in a day. Most people spend 2 or 3 hours a night or more just on dumb shit on TikTok or on Netflix. It's like, do something with it. There's no reason why every single person here in this chat cannot hit 1 Bitcoin. And just think about how rare it's going to be in a decade from now to get 1 Bitcoin, for anybody to have 1 Bitcoin. Like, most people won't know somebody who has a Bitcoin. Like, it'll honestly be as rare as like finding a billionaire, I think, in the world at some point in the future. And you have the ability to. That's the gold rush here, the next 10 years. And that's the other thing that you need to stretch is your own timeline. Everybody's like, oh, I got to hit this before 2025 or this before 2026. It's like, zoom out decade, stack your skills up, do things very consistently, and do it for a decade. And I guarantee, no matter what you're earning right now, every single person here, if they have that in their mind, and put it on a card too. That's what I put in the video too. Put it on a card. Look at it every single day. Give that thing energy. Put a date, put it on there, and you can do it. Like, it's not magic. Everybody just has their own kind of self-imposed limitations from their upbringing or, the environment that they're in right now. Just get rid of them. That's right, boys. I forgot I wasn't on my own channel here.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of power in understanding that you need to take steps. You can't imagine. Oh, like there's this analogy that I like using. You can't eat a meal in 1 bite. That meal is 1 Bitcoin, right? You're not going to get to 1 Bitcoin in 1 purchase. The majority of people, like probably 99.999% of people, that's completely out of reach for. Most people don't even have like $400 saved. So get out of that thinking, and think more about how many Satoshis you have. Think more about the total number of Satoshis, which is, what is it? 2,099 billion, something like that.
2.1 quadrillion.
2.1 quadrillion, something like that. Yeah. So if you have that fraction of that total amount, you're better off than everybody who doesn't have as much as you do. And today you can buy 1,000 Satoshis for $1. At some point, you're going to be paying $1,000 for 1,000 Satoshis.
Yeah. It's kind of like, having that goal of getting to 1 Bitcoin or having some really large goal like that is like having a goal of becoming really buff or really fit. And then you go to a personal trainer and you say, hey, what's the workout I can do today to get the body that I want? They're going to tell you, go eat rocks. Like, it's not going to happen. You have to come into the gym every day, 5 days a week. You have to eat right. It's this progression towards what you want. It's there's nothing instant. And it kind of goes against our nature. Like, there's a sort of an animalistic side of us that wants instant gratification. that wants things now. We have a time preference because we kind of know we're going to die as well. So all of that is sort of like in you, and you have to fight against that or work on that to some degree so that you can lengthen your time horizon, and that you can know, okay, I am secure enough in myself that I'm going to be here in 10 years. What do I want my life to look like in 10 years? Do I sacrifice everything and eat rice and beans for the next 10 years so I can stack sats? Maybe that's going too far, right? But maybe there's something you can do so you can continue to live a life you want in the moment. You can satisfy a degree of that part of you, and you can build something for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of takes like having an understanding that you can. And I think that's why it's funny to me that there's so many videos on YouTube that do so well. That's like you, and probably the three of us are guilty of putting out videos like this, but it's like, you need 0.1 of a Bitcoin to retire, or is that enough to retire? And I feel like those videos do so well because that's how like 98% of people think, in terms of like, what's the minimum that I need here, instead of like, what's the maximum that I can get. Right. And that's why those videos do so well, because that's how 98% of people think, is like, what's the bare minimum I need here so I can do something that I want to do. And so you never want to be in that 98 or the 98%. You always want to be the opposite of that. That's the herd of people. And you need to kind of program your mind to think differently than that. It's like, what can I do? How much can I get? I can get 1 Bitcoin. Why can't I get 5? Yeah. I'm not going to do it next week, but if I give myself a decade or two and do things consistently and compound that, why can't I?
It's the difference between somebody who's very pessimistic, looking at it sort of at that minimal thing of what's the least effort I can do, what's the least amount I can do and reach my goal, to somebody who's optimistic that says, well, why don't I keep going? Why, I can be even better. I can do even more. I can get even more, and I can live even better than I thought was ever possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can you share my screen there, Jor?
Oh, sorry.
I think that's really relevant. Like, this is the formula. This is all you have to do. You earn more, spend less, invest the difference. That's it.
Yeah.
Find some way to earn more. Find some side hustle. Do something, right? Do something. There's a way that you can make an extra $1 a day. That's $30 a month. Go do an Uber order or something.
And do it for 10 years, right?
Do it for 10 years, right? That's the thing. I've mentioned this a lot. I'm a huge fan of Breaking Bad. And if you go on YouTube, there are channels that have like 1 million views on Breaking Bad videos. And these are people just talking about their thoughts on Breaking Bad. Like, if they can make money, that person out of that video, they probably made like 10 grand. That's 0.1 Bitcoin right there.
No doubt.
Right? Yep. 0.1 Bitcoin right there. That's 0. That's the way you have to think. You have to put your thoughts into the world, and those thoughts become monetized. You monetize those thoughts by giving people the option to absorb them, to enjoy them, to be willing to support them. And people like these guys have like massive Patreon followings, right? Yeah. And they're getting $2-3 a month from 10,000 people because they made this video. They put their thoughts out there. So find whatever you can, do something, as long as it's legal, do something to earn more. And there's no limit to this. There's absolutely no limit. You can be earning 10 grand a month by 2030 from just a side hustle. There's probably go ahead.
I was just going to make a joke. And if it is illegal, at least hopefully it's moral, whatever you're doing.
Oh yeah, there you go. We were talking about actually, maybe this is a good transition to what you were talking about before, the pirates,
the privateering.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's the new side hustle.
Exactly,
privateer for the government.
That's it. So earn more. You have infinite capability to earn. There's no limit to how much value you can create for other people. And you can keep doing it day in, day out forever.
And it's never been easier to scale it too. It's just, you just have to do it. You have to take the first step, and you have to understand that it's not going to happen in a month or 2 months or maybe even 2 years. Yeah. But that's what compound is. And I think that, having any sort of excuses of why you can't, it's really something that's in your mind. And that's something I think that is just important, if not the most important part of this whole journey here, is having a mindset. And I think that that's going to be a big shift, because, you know, the multimillionaires out there, the people who have this old money, as we call it, in fiat, they're kind of set up for this stuff already. They have the resources, they have the tools, they know what they're doing. There's a lot of people out there who are sitting on diamonds right now and don't know what they're sitting on, and they're doing nothing about it. They're not protecting it. They're not trying to figure out how to do more with it. They're not meeting any other people so they can actually compound that and leverage that into something. They don't have the wealth mindset. And I think that that's just as important, if not more important, than actually, you know, the effort that you put into it.
And again, it's that short-term thinking that is partially part of our nature, but it's also fiat. Exactly. It's the fiat incentivizes short-term thinking, because whether you recognize it or not, you know that there's sort of like a subconscious, and I think this is the hope of the fiat system, is that people don't recognize it so blatantly, but the individual loses over time and loses their ability to purchase things. They know their money's getting worth less, or at least they know things are getting more expensive. So it incentivizes consumption today, and it incentivizes a complete gambling culture as well. Some of the biggest news that has come out is that, like, every stock app is now a crypto and prediction market app, and every crypto app is now a prediction and a gambling app. And they're becoming these super apps of low time preference betting on something, right? And this is exactly the opposite of what will actually build generational wealth. These people, these concepts of gambling prey on people's short-term thinking. That's what it does. It preys on the hopelessness, and it preys on the
desperation,
the desperation that is caused by the fiat system. It's terrible.
If we turn that around, actually, if we take a look at it and look at that from another perspective, the companies that are creating those markets, they're getting you to enjoy the short term while they take advantage of the long term, because they don't care about how much money you bet. They don't make all that money. They get a small cut out of it. So let's say they make 2-3%. They're going to let that 2 to 3% accumulate over time, and accumulate and accumulate and accumulate and keep growing to a point where, I mean, they're the biggest company in the world. And what they're doing this with is your need for short-term satisfaction.
Yeah.
MicroStrategy is doing exactly the same thing, right? They're taking advantage of your need for short-term stability.
Yeah.
And they're using that to buy Bitcoin. And they're going to, at some point, they're going to be the biggest company in the world.
Yeah.
Because they're taking advantage of your short-term ability for that, or sorry, your need for that stability. So what Forrest is saying there, don't think short-term, don't think like, oh, the price isn't going up. Invest for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah. And the short-term thinking has been the ruin of all sorts of generational wealth. Jor, you were mentioning how, you know, you're kind of here because of the generations before you, right? Like, on both my sides of my family, okay, this is actual examples. I think it was my great great grandparents on both sides. One of them owned 160 acres on Salt Spring Island and had a large apple orchard, and they gambled it away, and they lost that. The other side was the mayor of the town Nelson, and had a mansion, gambled it the entire property away, and lost it. And this is what happens.
What are they gambling on? Like bean bags or something, or what was the gambling?
I'm actually not sure. I just know that they gambled it away and lost it.
Poker?
Horses. I don't know.
That's wild.
Like that. And so there's both cases that easily, both of those things is generational wealth in today's age, right? If that was passed on through generations. And instead, there's, you know, not that much wealth in my family, right? So this is, and those people in that period, they were short-term thinking with something that at the time was basically, you know, again, we go back to property. This was in some relation the Bitcoin of the time, right? Bitcoin wasn't invented. There was no facility for Bitcoin, but land, property, wealth, that was the Bitcoin of that generation, and it was not passed down.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's terrible. Yeah.
Couple things here, boys. We got about 20 minutes left. I wanted to give a couple big shout outs. Actually, I should have done this much earlier. But anyway, some anonymous person out there sent a pretty big zap here. We got 33,919 units of freedom.
Wow.
So that was actually last week. I don't know, or it might have been one on one of our videos during the week. I don't know where that came from, but we also got a big one here from Kev, aka 21 Sat Street. He said, "Merry Christmas and happy 2026," and sent 28,638 units of freedom. Wow. Those are two big amounts. And not to be outdone, we got one from Alex, 9630 units of freedom. And says, "Thanks, guys, with an orange heart. Have a great weekend and happy holidays. Orange heart, Alex." And a couple more here before we go. I got a little thing here on the screen here. If you do want to support the boys here, the reserve. Where am I here? We got Sin Diesel, who zapped an 18 and a 45 units of freedom. We got 21, zapped 21 units of freedom and said, "Rajat, get on Noster."
I'm on Noster. I just don't post.
He's on Noster. Thank you for the zap, though. And another big one here, Moravian, said, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen," and zapped 6,000 units of freedom, also known as FUs. Shout out to Scotty Boy. So that's a big day for the boys.
Wow.
And we got a couple super chats here, too, that we failed to mention here. Rhinestone Man, $10. And another 10 here from Nav. So we'll, do you guys want to talk about this one? It's to you, Forrest.
Okay.
I'm making a bunch of money hand over fist. Nice work, Nav. Making a bunch of money hand over fist selling calls and puts on strategies. Super easy and not time consuming. Everyone should learn. Forrest, any suggestions for which covered call to take? Got some expiring today. Nice work.
Yeah, great work. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, people will say selling covered calls is picking up pennies in front of the steamroller, which it could be. But there's ways to navigate that environment, which is just continuing to roll. Even if your call gets in the money, you continue to roll into the future as one of the variables that makes up the value of the option is time, and you can extend that out by buying your close dated one and reselling a longer dated one, and just keep doing that until the volatility dampens or the price goes back down or whatever, right? So the beginning of the week, I sold a covered call on strategy for 168, and it was really close to the money when I sold it. So I got a huge premium for it. And MSTR looks like it's going to close today at 164 or 165. So it's not in the money. This really depends on you as an individual and how much risk you're willing to take. People do 10 deltas, so that's way further out of the money. That's probably what I would just generally recommend, because I don't know your situation, Nav. It sounds like you're actively managing this more, but you could go towards maybe the 30 delta as opposed to the 10 delta if you wanted to take on more risk. Eventually, there's going to be a time where MSTR just rips, Bitcoin just rips, and those covered calls are going to get in the money if you sell anywhere below a 10 delta, I would say. So just be aware of that, recognize that, and know how to deal with that, so you're not panicking when shit is hit the fan for your covered calls.
That's something that I'm always worried about. What if Bitcoin just rips, and then the covered calls that I sell get liquidated?
They don't get liquidated. You just roll them.
Oh, sorry. What if Bitcoin rips? Sorry. What I meant is, what if Bitcoin rips and then they get assigned? That's what I meant to say. That's the word.
Well, they're only going to, I mean, it's very rare to get assigned prior to the expiry date. Usually covered calls, options will just get traded all the way to the end, basically. So within that time period, you allow time decay to work for you. So every single day, there's something called theta, which is going to extract some value out of the option. And then regardless of what the delta and gamma do, which is the underlying share price and the effect on the option price. So you allow theta to work for you as you get closer to expiration, and then you roll to a longer dated option, potentially at a higher strike price. So maybe it's maybe it's out of the money again at a further date. and you even get a premium for that if there's enough volatility within the stock. So that's what you're saying is like, you could either allow that to expire and those shares do get taken away from you, or you get into something I call covered call purgatory, which is continuing to just roll out and up until you're out of the money and it expires worthless again. Wow. The whole time generating premium.
That's so smart.
Yeah. It's kind of it can be a stressful situation to be in, but we know how volatile these things are. So eventually, if you keep doing that, a new covered call that you roll into is likely to expire worthless at some point because of how volatile the underlying is. So you just do that until it does. I've had to do that a couple times with MSTR, where the calls I sold got in the money, and then I just rolled to the next week, and then I think I even went up in strike price, and then next week MSTR fell, and they expired worthless.
Yeah. Oh, Nav had a comment on that, on what you just said, the rolling. You roll them just so like covered calls get deep in the money. The deeper in the money, the higher chance it gets called, but probably still not a big probability it gets called.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's exactly it, right? They have the option to be able to buy those shares at that price that you've set at any point within holding that call. But it's not likely they're going to take that opportunity until the expiration. But yeah, what he said is correct. If you go really far into the money, then people are likely to actually exercise them prior. But again, it's pretty unlikely.
All right. Sorry, I was just going to say big shout out to Chroma Faces here. I don't know what channel this was on, but $3.99 to someone out there. Thank you, Chroma Faces, for the interaction in the chats today and the super chat there. A couple here that I want to talk about here, boys, quickly. Number one, Banana Chan says Bitcoin well KYC. Yes. But there is ways. They have Bitcoin ATMs around Canada. I don't know if they're in the US. Do you know, Forrest?
No, they're not.
They're not. So if you're in Canada, you can get yourself a Bitcoin well Lite account. It's called, and you can go to an ATM. And I think you can do up to $1,000 per purchase, just with an email address.
Wow!
And you can do that 3 times. You can do 3 purchases a day in one account. Each purchase just under $1,000, and that's all KYC free. So their ATM network is a really good way to get non-KYC Bitcoin.
Can you? Do you have to pay a spread for that non-KYC?
Yeah. So they do something called a voucher system. So basically you create a Lite account, then you go to an ATM, and then you fund your account through the ATM. And then you buy it online with your Lite account. And all told, if doing that system, it ends up being about a 7% fees and spread total to be able to buy non-KYC Bitcoin, which is fairly comparable to using something like HODL or BISC. There's usually like a 5 to 10% difference between spot price on there as well.
Right.
But most ATMs are like 15 to 25% fees and spread. Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. So we got, 10 minutes left here, boys? Any last kind of topics you want to talk about before we go?
Yeah. What about that, the other videos that there are here?
Questions?
Yeah. Or sorry, the other questions, not videos, questions. So there's one, how are people going to invest into Bitcoin when they're broke and in debt? Unless they do their homework and have a strong will to escape, they're beyond effed. And I completely agree.
Yep.
Most people won't get that. They're not going to, they don't have that mindset that we were talking about. You have to have a specific mindset to want Bitcoin. If you're okay with your situation and you just want to complain about it, you're not going to look for a solution. And Bitcoin is that solution. So the people who actually do look for a solution are going to find it, and they're not going to be beyond effed in the next 10 years.
I would say also that the fiat system creates inequality with wealth. It creates a wealth gap intentionally. It creates a K-shaped economy. We've had that since fiat's existed, basically, is the widening of the K-shaped economy. So there's going to be a section of that, of people that are living hand to mouth, in debt, whatever, and it's going to be incredibly hard for them. But there's a lot of people with some semblance of wealth still. There's a lot of money that needs to go somewhere, lot of purchasing power that needs to go somewhere, and Bitcoin will just continue to absorb a ever growing larger portion of that.
Yeah, the people who have real estate, they can borrow money to buy Bitcoin if they want to. They just haven't. I think most haven't figured it out yet. Like these people have this real estate, they already have this equity in it. They could borrow against that house if they wanted to. They could diversify their portfolio, but most people just won't yet. They're not interested in it yet. And that's going to happen when Bitcoin goes to like $1 million. That's when people are going to start finally figuring it out, because they're finally going to realize that, oh, I used to be able to buy, let's say, 5 Bitcoin with the equity in my house, and now I can only get half a Bitcoin. How much lower am I going to let it go?
Yeah, eventually it checks your ego and humbles you, and you just have to admit, I was wrong about this. I was naive to it. I was ignorant to it. I'm not going to do that anymore. Right. Yeah. I think the greatest example of that currently is that Bitcoin, or the finance guy on Twitter, who's just like the biggest Bitcoin bull now. And he used to, anytime there was a drawdown, he used to be, oh, store of value, LOL. And now all he posts about is Bitcoin. And he's just like, yeah, I had to admit to myself I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that another part of this too is like, I wish people knew. And again, it's one of those things, it is about the mindset, but I think in order to like, we kind of talked about the mindset in terms of like having an abundant mindset. And we also talked about like just taking one step at a time. And I think somebody in this situation here, like we're talking about here, who's in debt, they're broke. Rajat, do you want to bring up that spreadsheet again real quick that you had there? Because that's part of this, but.
Oh, the formula?
The formula. Yeah. I think that number one is just like, I wish people knew, and this was another comment here. Somebody said it's so expensive for one Bitcoin, out of reach for most. I just wish people knew how little amount of Bitcoin that they actually needed right now. And like how many people who are broke in debt just have so much shit around their house that if they took a weekend or a week and converted that into cash, stuff that they haven't used in a couple of years, buy some Bitcoin. The average person, even if every person on the planet was equally distributed, I think it'd be like 200,000 sats, which you can get for $250 here in Canada. Like it's a joke. It's an actual joke, but it's where's that, Rajat? Right here. It's like, okay, you want to earn more, then just grow your skills, figure out what you enjoy doing, focus on that. That's all you should be focused on, is just figuring out what you enjoy doing, what you're good at, and then become better at that and then leverage it. So you earn more. Maybe you cancel your Netflix for 6 months, or then you probably do it forever. Maybe you don't eat at Starbucks next month. Like how many people who are just dead broke and in debt who are paying $7 for a coffee every morning? Like it's so backwards.
I used to do that. Not with coffee, but like with just takeout.
Me too. And it's not like I was like broke and I mean, I kind of was as a student, but like, yeah, it was every dollar that I got. If I didn't have, if it wasn't going towards something, it just went into a coffee or a beer or a lunch somewhere. It's that mentality.
But then there are other people there are some people who have that mentality where they don't earn enough, but there are other people who will be like, oh, I'm going to cut that coffee, but I'm not going to save this money in some asset that's going to give me asymmetrical returns, right? If it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. Let's say you're a doctor, for example, you're making $400K a month or a year, you're making $400K. So you have that earn more. And then let's say you just strip your expenses to the bone and you don't spend anything. You spend nothing other than like the basics. So let's say you can save $200,000 a year. If you just save that in cash, at some point that $200,000 a year is going to be worthless compared to your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And like that's an extreme example. Because the problem here is that your lifestyle is going to keep getting more and more expensive. It's not like your lifestyle is going to get cheaper. If it expands at 5% per year, you're going to see that at some point you went from $100,000 a year to $200,000 a year, but your income probably is probably not going to increase that fast. So your gap between it's almost like a ticking time bomb almost. At some point, your gap is going to be zero. Maybe right now you have the biggest gap because your expenses are so low and you're earning a lot of money, so you have that gap. But eventually, that gap will, unless you find something that can give you infinite earning potential, but eventually that gap will get so small that you can't save anymore. So use that gap while you can. Yeah. Don't spend it on just dumb shit. Invest it. Buy something that gives you asymmetrical returns. And you can almost ignore what the comments are that comment that you were referring to before. Ignore what they're saying. It doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter if you have 1 Bitcoin or not. There was a video that went pretty well. It did pretty well. Said 0.1 Bitcoin isn't enough. I think that's the wrong mentality to have. You just stack as much as you can for as long as you can until you're financially free. That's it.
Yeah. And here's a tip for if you want to spend less, don't get a private driver for your burrito.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense, right? Uber Eats, like it makes no sense to do that.
Yeah.
There's also a couple people in the comments talking about the 7% fee that I mentioned about Bitcoin Well being high. Again, that's for non-KYC Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So if you're getting KYC Bitcoin, expect 1.5% or less of spreads and fees. Non-KYC Bitcoin has a premium to it, and it's very difficult to get without really high fees, I would say.
Yeah, like this is such an easy way to like have a little bit more disposable income at the end of the month. Make your own food at home.
It's healthier for you too.
It's like what Forrest said there. You're paying for a private courier for your burrito. You're paying for their salary, right? You're paying for the money that they're earning. You're paying for their insurance in that time. You're paying for their tires, their gas. You're paying for all of that in that time. So if you're supporting this guy's salary, then how are you going to support your own future?
And there's also a company, a toll booth company also earning a fee from that. You're also paying for insane valuations of Uber and DoorDash.
Yeah. Like they're taking out of the food that you're buying, they're taking a 40% cut.
Yeah.
Where is that cut coming from? It's coming from your wallet.
It's coming from your Satoshi stack.
Yeah. Yeah. There was actually had a client who was making $250K a year, and his wife was making like 25 Uber Eats orders a week.
Wow.
Every week, 20 to 25 Uber Eats orders. I went through his financials. 20 to 25 Uber Eats orders every single week.
Wow.
And they had like $17,000 saved, and they had their house. That's it.
Wow.
And he's making 250 grand a year. Right? That's wild. People, like, if you can expand your lifestyle as much as you want to, but if your income doesn't increase with it, then you're screwed. You have to find some way to create that gap and invest that difference.
And it's different too. Like, if you're doing something that's actually, let's say that you're on a live stream and you don't have time to prepare a meal, and you're doing something that's actually earning you more than you would spend on having somebody deliver that to you, that's different. But most people are just sitting in their ass on the couch watching a show because they don't want to go out to the store and get it themselves. So they're not actually creating anything there or adding any value to the world. They're just lazy.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing something, let's say it's earning you $100 per hour. Well, then it makes financial sense to say, okay, well, if I'm worth $100 or $100 per hour, and that's what I'm doing right now, I'm happy to pay $5 for somebody to do it, so I don't have to spend half an hour doing that. Like that makes sense financially. Mm-hmm. But that's not what 99% of people do. They're just being lazy. They don't want to leave the house. So that's just a very poor mindset overall.
Yeah. Or plan and prepare. I mean, with food, it's about planning and preparing more than if you have to go to the grocery store every time you want to make a burrito and you have to buy fresh ground beef and you got to buy some lettuce. Yeah, it's going to be more than just, using the scale, the scalability that Taco Bell has, right? They've been able to cut costs because of that scale, but you can also do that as well. You can be way more efficient. And again, you shouldn't be eating Taco Bell anyway. So there's that.
Side story there. Yeah, no doubt. Okay. Well, that's a good chat today, boys. I love these. I think we should actually do more of these in terms of like the mindset side of things versus just looking at the charts and the prices and the latest news and what's going on today. But anyways, hopefully everybody enjoyed the chat today. If you did and you want to spend a little bit more time with us, you can scan the QR code. We're going to be starting the happy hour. I already got the beer halfway done here. Whoops. But it's a good chance to connect with us kind of on a one-to-one basis. Other people in there, just a good way to spend a Friday afternoon. And again, if you do end up joining the community, not only are you going to get access to today, but we have about 20 pre-recorded ones. So if you want to spend some time over the holidays and actually watch those, I think that you're going to exponentially increase your Bitcoin knowledge, conviction, and everything just by watching some of those happy hours that we've done. So you have access to all those in addition today. There they are right there. So yes, any last words here before we go?
Buy Bitcoin.
I don't think so.
Buy Bitcoin. There it is. Okay, so scan the QR code, buy some Bitcoin, and consider this an investment. That's what it is. It's not an expense. It's not like Uber Eats. It's not like Netflix. This is something that's going to make you a better Bitcoiner, grow your network, and who knows what it turns into in the future. So, anyways, thanks everybody very much for being in the chat today, for all the support, and big shout out to the Fat Zappers today. We very much appreciate it. So, thanks, fellas. Thanks everybody. We'll talk to you sometime soon. Bye-bye.